You ready? Probably not.
Josh, where's the target?
Alright, so it's been a few days. I'm back from tactical response. I've been kind of teasing this out that I got pepper sprayed while I was out there. I've got about a 15-minute video of getting sprayed, and then right up until I start to more or less get most of my breath back. It's going to be a long one. If you want to see the raw video without my commentary, I'll have a link down in the description. Otherwise, as we're going, I'll interject, maybe I'll voice over, and you can see the worst 15 minutes that I've had in a long time. So here goes.
OC.
Alright, so what you're seeing is Josh pointed out that still target for me, hit me with the spray. I'm supposed to get my pistol out, breathe and blink enough to be able to see the target and get shots on. So, first thing you see is me going, oh fuck! Alright, I'd already decided before we started that I was going to do the like ECQC default covering your head. And man, I forgot all that shit until Josh started talking and said stay in the fight. I was like, alright, I've got shit that I got to be doing. So I started covering my head, trying to breathe and blink. But that didn't work out so well. So when I take my gun out, that is the first time I get just a split-second glimpse at that target. And I get one or two, maybe just real quick blinks while I get those rounds off. And then I can't really see nothing again until those next couple of shots. And as you saw, I missed the first two, hit the third, and then as you'll see, I hit the fourth shot, missed the fifth. But for, 10 yards of being blind, fuck. 2 out of 5 is, it's bad. All right, it's bad.
Target's still up. Keep going.
All right, so Josh is telling me to start my scan, asking me where the good guys and bad guys are. So that's what you see. I'm pointing at the folks watching. I think I point at him. I definitely saw him during the scan. Point back to the target for the bad guys. He tells me to look for cover. I already kind of knew there were barrels behind me, and I sort of kind of saw them during the scan. So I'm heading toward those things. Josh is helping me move. We'd already done the safety brief. He told me he was going to help me move, which was great because I couldn't feel my fucking legs. My legs were numb. The gross motor skill stuff that people talk about, like I had that for sure. So he tells me to check for injuries. So while I'm doing that, it just feels hard to move.
You hear anything when you get
he tells me, arterial bleed on my left arm and to reholster my pistol. I said, fuck no, because of the gross motor skills, I'll just drop that thing.
That's where we're at. Keep looking. Breathe.
I daily carry a RATS tourniquet and one of those snake staff systems tourniquets. So during this drill, I had a trainer RATS and a trainer cat on. And when he tells me the injury, I remember thinking, okay, which of these two tourniquets do I want? I picked the RATS because it's a little bit easier to do one-handed. And honestly, in the last few years, that's the thing that I've got the most reps in.
So you're going to lean over at the waist?
And I have used one in real life, and it did stop the bleeding.
Turn your head towards
me.
So
I get that tourniquet on.
So you're going to sprint, or you're going to drip water?
I could have gotten a third wrap on the RATS. I thought I did, but I couldn't feel the end of the tourniquet. And I couldn't see that there was still another wrap's worth to do. So I tied it off. Josh checked it. I don't remember if it was tight or not. It probably was, but I honestly don't remember.
Breathe, boy. You got it. So you want to bend over at the waist because this stuff is going to trickle down. So if you aren't, when the majority of the spray is on you, that stuff's going to run down your body, and that's terrible for you.
So as we're starting decon, like I said, I still can't really feel my legs much. So you'll see I'm holding on to Josh, I'm holding on to the barrel, I'm holding on to the posts out there on the range. Because I really had a little bit of vertigo and wasn't... I couldn't tell if I was falling over or if I was standing up straight. Because my legs were like numb. If you listen, you'll hear the labored breathing. That didn't really start to kick in until we got over to decon, and I had time to kind of come off the adrenaline. you know, the pepper spray while we were doing the drill, I don't remember it hurting that much. I just remember it being really irritating and I couldn't get my eyes open. So the adrenaline was nice while I was working, and then after, everything kind of really set in. The worst part of this whole thing was really the breathing, the struggling to breathe. I could feel that I was breathing some of it in, burping a lot, silently, but a lot. Later on, I start throwing up. Like, the mechanic of throwing up is there, but nothing really comes out. You'll see the runny nose, all the mucus, and it's just, it's kind of gross. It's kind of gross, so stick around for that.
You want to sit down? Okay, let's go.
So about the time that we're walking over to the bench, I can hear my labored breathing, and I start asking myself, like, man, am I fucking crying right now? Like, I get, like, this is bad, but am I really crying in front of everybody?
Don't rub your
The
eyes.
answer's no. No. Like, weeping, crying, no. Eyes watering, sure. Labored breathing, sure. All the physical mechanics of crying were there, yeah. But, like, the emotional, like, distraught part, that was not there. You know, I remember listening to Josh talking for the next hour or so while I was sitting there with my eyes shut. I remember all that. Most of the time I was sitting there after the video stops, I was just like, okay, like, when is this going to be over? Tapping my foot, bobbing my head, like, just, you know, I have a short attention span. I'm like, I've been sitting here a long time. Like, I want to get up and do stuff. So while I'm sitting there, it is just like, yeah, it burns. It's uncomfortable. I can't open my eyes. This is really irritating. But once I've got my breathing back, it was just kind of like, you know, can we get this over with? Can we get this over with?
A fatal mistake people make, it's not really fatal, but if you are rubbing your eyes, especially if you got shit on your hands, like if you touched the ground, people have lost part, if not all, of their vision in one or both eyes from that. So, you want some more water? Lean over. But if you lose your vision from that, you know, if you're ever in that situation, it's because your instructor was a jackass. People have done this. There's videos of this that I have in the full class. Is a police recruit who has done this, and then it's always the funny joke to pepper spray him and then knock him to the ground, and he's supposed to get up and hit him with the fake baton and stuff. That guy who hit the ground and picked himself up rubbed his eyes under the care of his instructor, who's a fucking asshole, and now cannot be a police officer and has never worked since because he has lost vision in both of his eyes. So if you are training your friends, your relatives, you know, if your hands touch the ground, straight to decon. Want some more water? Yeah. There you go. Yep, I said. Like I said, you want trickling water. You don't want anything under such force that it's going to push it deeper. And they do make sprays and salves and all this other shit. Yep.
So at some point, somebody had asked if using milk was good for decon, and Josh said that he wasn't really sure. I happened to be on the range a couple of days later with a former local police officer and a buddy of mine named Grant, and he said that milk was good to go. They got sprayed every year for being a cop, and that milk was the way. So there you go. If you get pepper sprayed, milk is your friend.
But they do make sprays and salves and wipes and all this other shit. I've seen some people use it, and sometimes it's kind of effective, and sometimes it's fucking not. So you can make this way more expensive if you want to buy a $5 wipe. That might work. If it does work for you, that's great.
I'm gonna get this one for you.
It's effective treatment.
And hey, shout out to all these guys that are kind of taking care of me at this point. Asian Will about to come up with other paper towels there. The dude grabbing my handgun for me. Adam filming. Josh doing all the decon. Like, this was, I mean, this is really, like, no shit, kind of traumatic.
Also got some
And you know, everybody around is like
So you just want to nod
trying to
over
take
the
care of
shit.
me, and I'm just sitting there doing nothing. You know, they clap for me later. It's like, dude, I'm just dumb. Don't clap for me. I'm dumb. But I do really appreciate everybody that was kind of taking care of the little bit of stuff I needed while we were doing this. So as a runny nose is setting in, that's really the shit part about the first 15 minutes or so, was just the struggling to breathe. And this seems like a good point to mention, like this is bad. All right, I don't ever want to do this again. In the Marines, I got CS gassed, I think like 4 times. You know, boot camp sucked. You're in the room with your mask off for a while. But once you're in the fleet, usually about all you've got to do is break the seal and touch the glass on the inside of your mask. Somebody will run around the room and make sure everybody's doing it right, and then you can just clear your mask. And, you know, it sucks, but you'll be all right. Man, I would get gassed right goddamn now and every day for the next week before I let somebody spray me again. This was bad.
Which one did you spray him with again?
The Fox foam.
Okay.
This one. You want some?
So you can see there, I'm asking Josh to kind of get this stuff away from my mouth. That Fox foam is getting in my mustache, in my beard. I can feel that when I breathe in, there is stuff coming into my mouth. And yeah, I'm just like, hey man, get this stuff away from my mouth so I can get my breath back. You know, the burning in this whole deal was very secondary to the struggling to breathe. And if you guys stick around towards the end, I'll talk more about the effects after the 15 minutes that you see. Because this, let's see, I got sprayed about 8:45 on Saturday, and when I went back to work on Wednesday, people were telling me my eyes were red. So it was rough. All right, it was the gift that kept on giving for sure.
Depends on your situation. Yep. Keep breathing. Hand out for me. Just got a little bit extra.
So since he's wiping off my arms, I'll start to get into the after effects. After, as in after these 15 minutes that you're gonna see. I didn't get off that bench for about another hour. I didn't open my eyes hardly at all for that hour. Getting close to 10 o'clock, I was able to get up, go find my handgun, get loaded up, and was able to go and do the 10 o'clock session and even shoot a little bit. But around lunchtime, the eye soreness, the sinus stuff, the headache set in, and it put me down for the rest of the day. I slept from 1 until about 5. And in that time, I was laying there on my cot, had my arms crossed, and I think just having my arms touching, the little bit of sweat was reactivating the OC that was on my forearms. And so I would wake up fairly regularly with just forearms on fire. Like the worst of the burning was that afternoon, just while I was trying to sleep, on my forearms. It wasn't on my face, it wasn't in my eyes, it wasn't on my ears, it was then. And I think that was just the like prolonged contact. I was getting like really red right here in the crook of my elbow. So that sucked. We ended up going to dinner, and I pretty much just sat there with my eyes shut the whole time, not necessarily because of the irritation, but just that the headache sucked. But I was still like semi-functional. I did actually drive for a couple of minutes that evening. That was safe. That was safe to drive then, but I had to really focus on what I was doing, and I didn't go very far, and I sure didn't go very fast.
And just while he's deconning, if I could leave you with anything, you know, once you get pepper spray, carry it, know how to use it, and understand the effects. Because this could be you, except this is you in a mugging, where after I pepper sprayed him, I whooped his ass, or after I pepper sprayed him, I shot him in a movie theater. It's something, like I said, paying a little bit of sweat now versus blood later. I'm not telling you you have to go all gladiator in here and get sprayed with everything, but it's just something to be aware of. Great quote from Clint Smith is, when you go to the range, practice the hard shit. That's kind of what Tactical Response does, is it's a lot harder to gunfight than to shoot. It's a lot more intensive. It's the same as doing your force on force, your low light, this kind of shit. This is where the real training is going to come from, is the real scenarios. And this is literally helping you be ready for a fight that criminals tend to use, and it's becoming a lot more popular. Is people using pepper spray either to distract you, to rob you, to kidnap you, to shoot you, whatever. Like I said, the worst time for you to get pepper sprayed is in the middle of the fight, and it's never happened before. That's the same thing with cops. Sometimes it's not required for you to get pepper sprayed to be a cop, but when you're in the Walmart and some lady pepper sprays you and you're rolling on the ground, that's not going to be the most effective way to kind of combat that situation.
So Josh is 100% right. As much as I want to say that I regret getting sprayed, I don't. It was horrible, and I don't use the word horrible very often. But I know what it feels like. It honestly does not hurt that bad while it's happening. I have two sort of immediate action plans for if someone else has OC. The first one, and Josh will talk about it a little bit later, if somebody gets it out, you know, he's gonna say I'll hit him or whatever. Dude, I'd probably run, honestly. Like, I don't want anything to do with that shit. If somebody gets that stuff out and they want my wallet, like, dude, it is not worth getting sprayed again. Like, take my wallet. You know, I'll come find you later. And if I do get sprayed, you know, being able to get my gun out and shoot, and, you know, they talk about holding your eye open and all, like, that's awesome. And if it's a situation where you got to do that, I am confident that it is accomplishable. However, I think it would be much better to use that little bit of visibility that I can get in blinking to see where they are at and get my hands on that motherfucker. Get my hands on them, rub my face in their face. You know, sharing is caring, and make them pay for the fucking day and a half of bullshit that I gotta go through if they hit me real good with that stuff. So that is my plan. If you see me rolling around on the ground with somebody and there's OC spray, just know that they did it, and they're getting a fair shake of what they gave me.
Keep breathing. Got a real champ here.
Dang.
I appreciate you volunteering.
I think he needs a good round of applause.
Fuck y'all.
So it's been about 10 minutes since you got sprayed. I'll let you.
Yep. It's gonna burn.
So the 10 being the worst that it was at the peak, what do you feel like it's now? Compared to the worst that it was. Yeah. 7, okay.
Yeah, so like I'm trying to say there, the pain
time
is a 7
blinking, water.
of the
Like I said,
10.
they make a lot of
But
weird,
they're struggling
weird
to
shit.
breathe.
I'm not saying
Even
it
at that
doesn't
point,
work,
10
but
minutes
I see a lot
later,
of people
it's
use
still
the-
as bad as
the
it's
decon
been
salves or
the whole
sprays
time.
and it not be
You know,
as
for
effective.
about that entire first
Regularly,
15 minutes,
with enough
just
water
the
and
struggling
time,
to breathe
most
is
people
no good. And
don't
actually, you'll see here in a
totally
minute,
last about
it
4
really
minutes.
kind of gets
It's
worse.
gonna
I have that
gradually
mechanic
come down.
throwing up.
Maybe 10
It's just,
and he's at a
it
7
was
now.
gross.
Yep, got some more water. but it's going to gradually come down, and eventually it'll still be a little bit of an effect. You'll still feel it, but it's not going to be anywhere near as intense after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and so on. You can have a severe reaction to it, like an allergy, which does happen. Doesn't necessarily mean it's fatal. You just might be one of the few percent of people that it's going to take a little bit longer for you to recover. That's not really a problem unless it's like been days or something like that. But generally,
Soap on it.
just give it a little bit of time and you'll be okay.
So I've got the mucus right.
Yep. And then OC attacks the mucous membranes. So
Yeah, so I can
spraying
feel the
person,
mucus
it's
running down
in
my
the eyes
throat,
and the nose.
and naturally,
Spraying a dog is generally
it's
gonna
great.
use in the mouth.
I love it.
Just the way, like that's where more of their stuff is.
Did you wind up breathing? Did the foam actually get into your sinuses? Did it actually?
Hey, ask stupid questions, get stupid answers. Another thing you'll notice there is I start putting my hands behind my back. And I start doing that because that's really where the irritation on my face is becoming more noticeable than the struggling to breathe. And so I'm just doing that so that I don't touch my face, because right then, that is the thing that I want to do more than anything else. I want to get this stuff away from my face.
That's the thing with the pepper spray is like whenever you catch somebody off guard, they're not gonna like stop breathing and then quickly like give themselves a rub down real quick. But it's effective. You know, clearly it's effective. So like if I didn't have to fight that guy, if he mugged me on the street and I didn't have to fight him, that's a really great case for anybody to carry it, not just women and children. So like I get into some pretty hairy situations with, like I said, meth zombies and gang members and whatever. I carry pepper spray. Trust me, I can fight. I can do all the pistol stuff and the bang slam elbows and kicks and jujitsu and whatever. But pepper spray is an effective tool for everybody. I promise you.
Would it be a good practice, like if you know you're about to be pepper sprayed, try not to breathe through your nose? Or does it matter? It's gonna get there anyway.
Any situation I could really foresee that coming, like as if I see somebody, running through the 7-Eleven with pepper spray,
Yeah.
maybe. But if I had any initial reaction, it would just be to cover my face. Usually, like in those sorts of situations, it's like somebody pepper spraying you for not wearing a mask, or someone pepper spraying you because their dog sniffed their dog's butt or whatever. But anybody who's doing that generally is already brandishing it. You see a lot of the videos, whether they're police videos or civilian videos, it's going to be someone standing with pepper spray. And they're going to be arguing with somebody. That's why I told you not to brandish it. Because when you brandish it, they're going to cover their face. If you're trying to attack me, and I'm like, stop, I'll use pepper spray, you're just going to cover your face as you do it. If I see somebody and they're holding pepper spray, they're like, where's your mask? Where's your mask? I'll probably punch them in the face. Or I'll pepper spray them first. I'm not waiting for someone to hit me. Like, I'm not waiting for someone to pepper spray me. I'm not waiting for someone to hit me before I do something about it. If you can articulate, like, there's some crazy lady saying that my dog kicked her butt, and whatever, I'm not waiting for her to pepper spray me before I do something. You articulate that, and this will help you, whether in the courtroom or talking to a police officer. I know the effectiveness of pepper spray. I'm not waiting to get pepper sprayed and be somewhat incapacitated just because, you think I shouldn't move away or push her back or whatever.
None of this is really legal advice, but like Josh is saying, if somebody is threatening you with pepper spray, they are threatening to potentially up to more or less totally incapacitating you. And then they can kind of do whatever they want, which is why what he's saying, like if somebody's threatening you with that, like man, they're threatening you with a hell of a lot of force, because once they hit you with that, if they hit it right, they can do whatever they want. So if somebody is threatening me with pepper spray, I am either gonna just turn and run, or man, they're getting knocked out. There's a stigma against throwing the first punch, but if somebody is threatening to put you out of the fight, you've got two options. Get away, end the fight before it starts. So that's how I feel about that.
But if you have one easy defense, it's going to be cover your face. A great technique that if you're familiar with retention shooting, the horizontal elbow shield is going to cover your eyes and eyebrows and protect your head. That's also a great way to start your way into a fight. So if someone's already fighting you and your first move is protecting your head, that gives you a great place to jump off of if you need to continue fighting them or if you need to draw and fire from retention. Which if we had paper targets up here instead of the steel, we could have started with that, where you go and then draw from retention and then fire and then come back and then do the distance shot where it requires a little bit more eyesight. But just with the amount of time and the amount of space that we just don't have enough to do that. And if you're ever knocked to the ground, if you've ever done fighting pistol, the supine position is a lot of the same. So if they're far enough away, you still need to be able to see them and ID who's standing beside them, behind them, whatever, before you fire.
All right, so like you see at the end there, I point at Adam, and in the best voice that I can get right then, I let Adam know that he can cut off the video, and I thank Adam for videoing. And again, thank you, Adam, for videoing that. I've already shown a whole bunch of people that it's great. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to see just the raw footage, if you just want to show it to somebody without me interjecting, that link will be in the description. So the last bit I have about the after effects. We already heard about how things went for the rest of the day. Well, the next day, party's not over. I wake up, watery eyes, that reactivated a little bit. Each eye at different times, oddly. It was like having really bad allergies, runny nose. The headache was gone, but itchy, watery eyes, and that kept up right up until about lunchtime on day 2. And again, I got sprayed at about 8:45 on Saturday. So by Sunday afternoon, hey, I'm 95% or better, but eyes are still dry, still somewhat irritated. The next morning, actually a little bit did reactivate again in my right eye. I don't think my forearms are really feeling it anymore by Monday. And like I said previously, when I went back to work on Wednesday, people are still telling me that my eyes are red. For sure they were feeling dry on Tuesday. Yeah, don't get OC sprayed, kids. Josh said it was the Fox foam that he hit me with. Somebody else got hit, I think, with the fog. That dude, it actually took about 30 seconds for it to get in his eyes and kick in. So he blasted the hell out of that target while I was on the other range shooting. And I heard him just clang, 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 clang. I'm like, that guy did not get sprayed. He did. But it took about 30 seconds before it got in his eyes, and then he was pretty well messed up. But I'm gonna say it wasn't anywhere near as bad as what I got. So what I'm going to do is buy a bunch of that Fox foam and keep it just kind of around. I'm gonna get some of that shit for my sisters. I am going to buy extras so that we can practice not hitting each other with it. Fuck no. But you know how do we activate this? What is the range that we get out of this? How do we use it? And I'll talk with them a little bit about kind of fighting the effects of getting sprayed in case someone sprays them, or if they hit somebody with it and they get some splash or something. So that's kind of follow-on task for me. From what I learned from getting pepper sprayed. So, yes, horrible experience, but I know my immediate action drills for getting sprayed. I am going to start including the spray in some of the stuff I keep around, and I more or less I'm a pepper spray evangelist now, I guess. I thought it was all kind of bullshit before. I thought it was going to be like getting OC spray, CS gassed, which again, it was way worse than getting CS gassed. So if I were you, I would not go and get sprayed, but I would go buy some Fox foam. I would go maybe buy some other ones. I think it's all fairly inexpensive. I would make sure and get extra so that you can practice, you know, hit a tree with it, hit a cardboard target. Don't hit a steel target with that shit. Somebody did that at Tactical Response a couple hours after I got sprayed, and the next morning when they went out to do some shotgun stuff, they hit that steel target and everybody got gassed. I don't feel sorry for them at all. But you know, it's not cool. They didn't really volunteer for that. Yeah, don't spray steel targets. It's kind of a dick move. Anyway, really long video. It is what it is. If you stuck around this long, you probably don't have a life, but I appreciate you wasting your life watching me be a fucking dumbass. So make good decisions, don't get OC sprayed, drink water, and thanks again to everybody that was helping out and taking care of me and videoing and everything while I was going through this. Like, this is seriously about the worst 15 minutes I've had in years? I don't know. It was bad. But thanks, guys, and maybe I'll see you. Actually, you'll probably just be seeing me on some other video. Thanks.